I suspect we're going to see a lot of the Ho-Ho bands coming out, but it's going to be Hooper from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, like Hooper band is always a band that is common in Europe, right? Europeans are known for playing their hooper, like having a great hooper, just like playing hooper all over the place. Europe really likes the hooper, so banning the hooper kind of makes sense. I mentioned that Servalage is one of the strongest characters in the game. It's very annoying. I think Saluta is a very scary Servalage as well. So banning out the Servalage and the Leafeon and letting up the Zacian open. And I know that Unity Country really likes the Zacian.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that actually the Ho-Ho does manage to get through here, Gatlu. It's not a usual one. They've taken the Pikachu out of the game over on the side of Unity Country as well. They're going to lock in that Umbreon, really strong defender. It's usually the Umbreon or the Mamoswine that gets picked straight away, but it does open 2 meta picks that Portugal can go for here.
I think that Portugal is a team that doesn't really play Zacian either. Every time I look at the drafts, I'm just looking at the Zacian. In the North America tournament that happened yesterday, they actually didn't pick the Zacian as well. They let it open the entire time, and nobody picked it. I feel like the West side, again, like doesn't really prioritize Zacian as much. I think it kind of makes sense to pick Umbreon, knowing that the enemies are not playing Zacian, and just securing the Umbreon plus Zacian combination, which is, in my opinion, very disgusting. I'm curious to see if Salute is gonna play Upsir, because from experience, I think he really likes to pivot into Ceruledge or Upsir. So this not being picked and they potentially having a double attacker composition can be very good for the Upsir player.
We see Dark pulling out the Serena. That's really exciting. It's not a one that we see that often just yet, but it's feeling pretty good in the meta right now. We've seen a couple of players really capitalize on the capability of those boosters with that mon. So I'm excited for that one. Salute locks in that Blaziken, and it looks like Pepsa's going to take the Miraidon, which we've already seen dominate in these games in the Unity European Cup.
Yeah, like very dominant draft, like just meta draft in the Unity European Cup. Um, Again, Unity country going for the Zacian, Miraidon, plus Umbreon. These three characters are just very disgusting, and we just don't want to forget about the Blaziken, right? Blaziken is very dominant in Asia. I'm surprised that Kikukami was pivoting into this Charizard. He's picking for his teammate right now, I believe, because he's picking the defender, either Trevenant or Ho. And we are picking up the Metacross, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst picks you can pick there. Because as a last pick, again, you want to counter pick the enemies, you don't want to counter pick yourself. And Metacross gets countered by Zacian, gets countered by Blaziken, and gets countered by Umbreon. So, not really sure about the Metacross pick there.
What would you like to have seen picked there instead, then, knowing what they're going up against here?
It's probably very hard, right? Because like Ceruledge and Leafeon are banned, which are, in my opinion, very good into them. I kind of like the Dodrio because if you pick Dodrio, you can play the map. You can try to one-shot the Miraidon. In theory, the Dodrio should be able to win against the Miraidon matchup, and you can just back up as well, and you can create a lot of space for your teammates. But yeah, I feel like something like a Speedstar-ish character, maybe also Zoroark, could be very helpful, but it's just very, very weird to draft because like they just have the meta Pokemons. So there could have been potentially a Venusaur as well that just solar beams them to death.
Yeah, I think speedster wise, because obviously they do have that Miraidon, and it is always a difficult situation for a team to be in if they can't get onto that Miraidon. It's so difficult because Electro Drift means that it's diving all over the place, but also Charge Beam means it's really hard to get to because of the range that it has. But one thing that you can't let happen is that Miraidon just to do whatever it wants in that background and cause all that damage, Gatlu. We know the amount of damage that can come out with that mon.
Yeah, it's definitely right up favorite for Unity Country. The Metagross pick was very bad. Maybe they can surprise me, but um, like I played my like Metagross myself, right? So I kind of know that the Metagross is just very bad in this matchup. Looks like we are changing quickly the camera sensitivity and moving into the game. Like I see a Serena jungle. What do you think about that?
Interesting, because I don't feel like Serena does that bad in the lane. I feel like it has decent secure, but I guess they just want to get it online as soon as possible with that one, Gatlu. But I would have expected maybe one of the ones that benefits from an early spike that much to be better in the jungle, like for example this Charcadet.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, right? Because like the early game just feels very bad. They have Zacian Erdogan on top lane, which is considered one of the best top laners. We have a Ho and not a Hooper. So Ho again is like a very strong character once you get ahead. But playing the XP share hole kind of limits the hole's career potential. And as you can see here, just getting the 8 points and then activating its passive and just being able to nearly one-shot the top laner.
Yeah, it's a nasty lanes across the board that Portugal have to deal with here. They've got Miraidon in the bottom, they've got Zarshin in the top, and you pair that with an Eldegoss, and it's probably one of the best lanes that you can have. Combusken's here ready. We're about to have these birds spawn, but here comes the Serena alongside this Belton. Are they going to be able to do enough? It's a good boosted on the side of that Metagross, and they do push kick that in and pick up a lot of XP, but Zarshin's there to answer, and that's a Metagross down. They really want to push onto that pad as well here, Gatlo. The Amarouge has had to back up down here, but I think this top lane is going to go all the way to Unity Country.
I love that Unity Country, like Salute, instead of going for the Swabbers only, he managed to get a double blaze kick. I mean, the double blaze kick into the enemies, pushing them into the Swabbers. And while that happened, the Zacian Army was charging his Sacred Sword, which essentially just one-shotted them. And because maybe overextending a little bit, using the XP to run away, while the Serena is finally online. However, bot lane is losing, top lane is losing. It's not looking great.
No, difficult for Portugal right now. The early game has definitely been won by Unity Country right away. So it's going to be really important for them to get back into this game. They need to get some XP. They grab a lot of that mid farm, and we're going to see the Serena putting some damage, but they've managed to get the evolution for the Umbreon. So now they have to back on up. Unity Country are continuing with the aggressiveness. It's the charge being put out from the Miraidon. So that's going to be difficult for Portugal to handle right now.
We finally managed to get online on our characters. We got the Meltang, we got the Amarouge. So I think this early game is gonna be very hard because if the Blaziken gets level 8, you can just get the objective. While that happens, Zation is fighting the Meltang on top lane side, securing the kill on the top lane side. I'm not sure if he's playing stacking. He's not going for the stacks, so I believe he's not playing the stacking items on the Zacian. And botlane is just gonna be very hard to play. So what I would recommend Portugal to do is just trying to take the jungle and get their level spikes. Because it's going to be very hard to, again, push on the Miraidon. If you activate its passive on the pad, you get less healing. And your teammates are doing more damage within the passive.
Yeah, it does feel like you're kind of fighting for no point really here. You're trying to defend this pad, but they're just picking up KOs left, right, and center on the side of Portugal. Of course, that top lane has been dominated by the Zarshin. There's no way you're going to 1v1 that currently. So we do see that Metagross going into the jungle, trying to get that Evo. Are they going to be able to push onto this Register that's locked in by the Miraidon? Ho-Ho has to back up onto this pad, and yet again, we have a situation where they want to defend this one, Gatlu, but there's so much aggression coming from Unity Country. They're not going to be able to do just that, and I think you should just let them have this pad. You need to go back and you need to go farm.
There might be a possibility that Portugal is playing with the sub. Because Gecko Kami is on the Amarouge. I just noticed that. So Gecko Kami not on the Defender world where he usually shines and carries. But being on the Amarouge and not looking great so far.
Yeah, it's very different when you're playing a sort of different role than what you're used to, but it just seems like Unity Country are just causing aggression all the time. Anytime that there's space for Portugal, Unity Country are there to answer. They don't want to let any of this XP go to their side. It's working for them. We still don't have a Metagross yet. They're level 8. They need to, well, as I say that, they've literally just got that Evo Gatlo, so they're finally online, but we're just about to hit the mid-game right now, and it is all Unity Country. We see the Umbreon Unite move coming out there. They're going to be able to take down the Ho-Ho with that double KO, taking the Serena as well. They can now push onto this and get a really nice overcap if they can just take out this Amarouge and this Metagross, which I don't think is going to be too difficult for them. Compute and Crash comes in. They put up the stadium against the Blaziken, but they're going up against the Miraidon and the Blaziken overheat, and that's a break on that pad. Not as many points as they expected with the Zarshin putting those in, but 204 to the donut up on that top board.
That's what I mentioned. Like, the Metagross is just not a good Pokemon to last pick into the composition. He's using his own Unite move to essentially trap himself, and then the Blaziken is using his own words against him to stun him and just execute him. So it's definitely a very bad matchup. However, there's still a chance. It's 204 to 0 right now, and there might be a chance that they get comeback XP, but I feel like Unity Country is just very good at disengaging. Did you see the beautiful Unite move from Miraidon, and then the Blaziken just pushing them into them? Holy, what is, like, Unity Country just making a standpoint.
They fight so well together. The whole Metagross Blaziken situation is just call an ambulance, but not for me. Blaziken is more than happy to be sat in that stadium against that Metagross, and they really need to concentrate on getting more XP here, do Portugal. Unity Country are leading this. Every part of the game has been Unity Country so far.
Yeah, Unity Country just showing a really strong showing. Portugal potentially trying to push on the top lane side, knowing that it's gonna be hard to put it fight for the bot lane objective, and just looking for potential top lane picks. They're beginning the Umbreon there, but Umbreon dodging it very well with the foreplay. But I think Zacian is overextending and might be falling as well. The issue I'm seeing with the composition that they have is I feel like there's no burst damage.
Yeah, very so. And I mean, the Queen Majesty there was enough to pick up a KO. So it seems like Portugal are able to have a good fight here. But yet again, the Miraidon and the Meteors are just doing everything it needs to do for Unity Country to survive these team fights. They may have got some nice KOs over on the side of Portugal, but yet again, Unity Country are the ones that come out on top there.
Yeah, objective is spawning on bot lane side. Now the swappers are spawning at 315. That the gold zone is broken. I think this is something Portugal wants to pay attention to. Just making sure to farm. Like this is what you call like turtling. You're trying to not fight them, just take the farm and get an XP lead. But the turtling doesn't really work because the Zertian isn't getting the red buff. The level lead is very low. While the Amrouche is the level 11, the Amrouche is sticking to level 13. I think it's going to be very tough for Portugal to play because how I see it, um, as a competitive point of view, the composition that they drafted is also not really meant for late game, right? It's not
Hmm.
really an early game comp. It is a mid game composition because it's great at fighting. However, we have a hole to resurrect anyone possibly. So Serena could potentially one shot someone, and then the hole can resurrect the Serena and force the 4 versus 5 in a team fight. But what I'm saying that Unity Country is just taking over with the Registry and potentially securing the regular key as well.
Yeah, I just feel like Unity Country are fighting so well as a team. But the thing is, there's 224 points over on the side of Unity Country, 25 on Portugal. But of course, those T1s are up still. So if they have a good fight at this Rayquaza battle and manage to lock that in, they can score some easy hundo burgers. It's only going to take the two to get the lead. But this is what it's going to come down to, Gatlu. They have to have a good fight at this point. Otherwise, it is still going to be Unity Country's game.
Yeah, the regular queue is walking in. Unity Country is not looking for the score because they have a huge point lead. Umbreon is camping in the bush, maybe not knowing that the Umbreon is there, just trying to punish them. What I'm noticing from Unity Country's positioning is just they always try to take aggressive positioning in the late game fight. So we are trying using ultimate on the Minadon, potentially executing the Minadon, but Eldegoss is coming with the cloud crash, I believe it's called.
Mm.
And now they're just threatening the objective, potentially just baiting them in.
That was really good by Unity Country. They saw the opportunity and they took Serena out of that battle. They've now managed to do the same to the Trevenant. So they're just going to zone out the rest of Portugal whilst they can do whatever they want on that Rayquaza. They've decided to stop ripping it. They know how much of a lead they currently have. They can take these team fights all day long as we see that Blaziken going in there with the overheat kit. There comes the compute and crash out. But yet again, that stadium has put the Blaziken in the right position. Ho-Ho has been taken down. We're going to have no revivals here, buddy. There's the Sovereign Sword from the Zacian. Goodbye to the Metagross, the Serena, and it seems like yet again Unity Country are going to clean this one up. It's just the Trevenant left. They're running for their lives right now. They Horn Leech the Elder Goss back, but they do have some rip that Unity Country can use. Instead, they're just going to lock down the KOs. They know they don't need to do anything else in this battle.
Yeah, that's why the meta comps are just very disgusting because even if you manage to get one of the OP Pokemons in the game, like Blaziken, they still have a mineralization. And combining it with one of the best supports in the game, Eldegoss and Umbreon, is just gonna be a very tough, uh, like, something to deal with. However, Portugal is not giving up yet. They're forcing their way into the Rayquaza, potentially just trying to rip it, ignoring everyone, but it looks like they just have too much damage on the hand. So even if they get it, I think they can't score enough points.
No, we've got 10 seconds left. Miraidon managing to lock it in with the Meteors anyway. There's a Psycho Boom coming out from the Armor Rouge, but it's just too little, too late. Some Hundo Burgers going in for Unity Country. And honestly, well played by both teams, but it genuinely felt like that was all Unity Country all the way.
Yeah, definitely. Like they just controlled the entire game. It was very tough for Portugal to play. It was a draft issue again. If you last pick character that is getting counterpicked by the entire enemies, this is something you don't want to last pick when you are in second side. Because in the second side, it's just very tough to kind of figure out what is actually the best Pokemon into the enemies. There might be a
Mm.
chance where Darkrai can be last picked again, but I feel like when Darkrai is coming out next week, it's just gonna be perma-banned. So I'm gonna look forward to that. But Unity Country just playing a really strong showing, like Zacian with the 12 kills, Blaziken with the 12 kills. and Portugal only managing to get 4 kills in total.
That's it though, isn't it? The front line that Unity Country has there just means that not only do they have to deal with the Zacian and the Blaziken in their face, you take one of them down, but then you have to answer with the other one alongside that Mariadon. It's too much for Portugal to handle, and it showed during that game with the fact that when you use that Metagross Unite, you were trapping some of those mons in with you, but that wasn't actually a situation you want to be in because Blaziken was utilizing those walls to stun you, cause the damage, 104k damage coming out there by Salute. So it just showed that it was actually an advantage for Unity Country every time you did that.
I feel like something that Portugal wants to manage is what composition do they wear in a draft. If they play with the sub, like Gecko Kami is a star player in the defender role in Europe. If he's not on the defender role, like we said mentioned before, maybe there's gonna be a bit of an issue because as a defender it's much easier to short call than as a carry. Because as a
Mm,
defender you have the possibility to call a lot of opportunities because you are tanky and you are not like I don't want to say it's not a high skill intensive role. For example, if you play Trevenant, it's very skill intensive. But if you
mm.
play characters like Umbreon, you just have to um, focus on peeling your teammates and focusing the backline. So this is something I think I'm seeing an issue with Team Portugal's draft potentially because I believe that Gekko Kami is short calling them.
Okay. Well, let's see if they change that up coming into the next game, because of course that was a difficult game for Portugal, and they really don't want to be coming into this next game dealing with the same issues. The early game, the mid game, and the late game was Unity Country all the way, so they need to make some changes if they want to keep themselves into this. Of course, we only have the situation where if you don't get a win, you're going to be going down to that losers bracket. So we need to
Yeah.
see some strong fight from Portugal here.
This is a double elimination bracket, so even if you are losing right now, you still have the chance to play on the loser bracket. But it again, if you want to play in the loser bracket, you still have to play against really strong teams. So you kind
Yeah.
of want to take the advantage from being on the upper bracket. The second game is starting. It looks like Portugal is deciding to go for the first pick. If you lose, you can decide which side you want to be. And usually, people prefer to play on the first pick, so they can just secure one of the broken Pokemons in the meta.
But with the way that this meta is at the moment, there's so many Pokemon that are what you would consider to be really strong or broken. So I feel like me and Magical were having a conversation about this the other day. Like Orange side enables you to get two really good picks straight away. And with the way that these Pokemon are in the game right now, Gatlu, it really opens up a lot of selection for you.
Yeah, this is like something to mention as well. When it's next week, when Darkrai comes out, I feel like it's gonna be even harder to discuss is first pick or second pick better. And something I like about first pick is you have the opportunity to pick one of the characters that you want to pick, and then make a
Mm.
foundation composition out of it. And you are also allowed to ban whatever you want, essentially, because the enemies have to counter ban you or just let everything open at this point.
So they take the Umbreon over on the side of Portugal, but we're going to see the Hooper locked in and possibly the Zacian again for 9 apples. So yet again, another top lane that's going to be really difficult for Portugal to handle.
I'm surprised that Unity Country was banning out the Savage themselves. Again, we talked about this, right? If you let everything open, you could also pick Zacian Umbreon again. But Savage just being a very strong character in Europe, just deciding to ban it out. This time around, Seiko is going on the Leafeon, so they will play for a strong early game. I think we saw this in Portugal before, where they pick Umbreon and Blizzy, and I believe in some of the matches they always banned the Hooper and the Eldegoss. So not really pivoting into the double support ban, but going for
Mm.
a strong jungler in the beginning of the draft.
Yeah, I like this. You're going to be able to give yourself a really good early game, get that Leafeon evoed really quickly, and then put some pressure onto a lane that is going to need some assistance because, of course, Zacian just managed to snowball in the previous game. So there's going to be some assistance needed up there, but they need to really round out this comp at the moment. We're going to see possibly some all rounders getting picked up here and maybe some range, maybe some defender. Let's see what comes in because that Mew is being picked up over on the side of Pepsa, very strong mon in the meta at the moment. It can do a lot. Camus, a very versatile mon. And if you pair that with the Trevenant as well, but it's going to be the Armarouge and the Buzzwole that gets picked up over on the side of Portugal.
I would have loved to see a Mewtwo Y in this composition. Like I feel like Mewtwo Y would have been working so well with them because Blizzy
Mm.
has like actually a real carry to play around, and they have a lot of A plus potential. And I think Mewtwo Y is so underrated. And then in the A side, we managed to see one Mewtwo Y from Kyrios from LG. Luminosity Gaming was playing it, and it looked very cool. I feel like Europeans just don't like to play Mewtwo Y, even though it's such a unique and cool character, which can actually work really well into Zacian and the Mew. But this time around, we're just picking up the Amarouche again, and we're playing with the Buzzpool. Buzzpool is a character that is stronger than Zacian on top lane side because of the early game. But it again, if you're playing with a Blizzy, it is a bit more strange to play around it. Because you want to win with the Buzzball in the early game and then control the mid game to the late game. And if you if you don't manage to do that, it's gonna be very tough because Opsil is like a early game character as well, who can manage to secure the early game by its own. They have a really tough bot lane to play against. And Amarouche and Umbreon, they have no secure whatsoever together on the bot lane side. So they potentially just have to A-press the bot lane, while the top lane side probably gets ganked by the Leafeon. So again, Unity Country just playing strong lanes all over the place.
I feel like when it comes to that top lane battle, right, against the Buzzwole and the Zacian, a lot of it can come down to who gets their level 5 first, right? Because if Buzzwole manages to get that superpower straight away before Zacian's coming at it with the Sacred Sword, I feel like that'll make a difference. But I've seen a lot of the time Zacian managing to get there before the Buzzwole, and that really changes the difference of the power dynamic in that top lane.
It's always interesting to see like how people are gonna play with double EV compositions because you might be able to like split. Absol is playing X attack, so it makes the jungle even faster. I think when you play X attack in the central area, you can use your X attack when you attack the blue buff, because then you will have it back. Looks like Leafeon is gonna one buff gank the bot lane side, maybe trying to help the Amarouche to get level 5 pretty early. But I feel like something you are doing wrong when you play Leafeon is either you wanna share the lane bunny to get out of the jungle pretty early, or you wanna stay at 9. Like if you take the Xato at 9:45 and then the blue buff at 9:35, you are guaranteed to get to your level 4 because of the recent changes of the XP. It's just something you have to learn. But this time around, the Leafeon wasn't getting level 4 early, so he had to take the red buff as well, and not really
Yeah.
managing the early game on the Leafeon.
No, and Absol managing to clean that one up there with Hooper providing the assistance as well. So it seems like Unity Country are having a better time up in this top lane. We still do not have an Umbreon online down in that bottom lane either, Gatlu. So it seems like at the moment Unity Country are having a bit of a more advantage for this early game. There comes the mid birds, but that's going to be locked in by the majority of Unity Country. They do get Blissey evolved though, and I don't think they're going to be able to get any KOs here. Buzzwole really wants to take down the Absol, and with that superpower, they do just that.
Yeah, really great by the Buzzball just catching out the upswell, being a bit too aggressive. Something I don't really like. I want to mention this like a little bit more because when you pick Leafeon, you want to control the early game. You want to get level 8. You want to stomp. You want to add so much pressure on the minimap. So being able, like, trying to greed for stacks and just like staying top lane side and then dying again is not something you want to do with Leafeon because now you are stuck level 5. You're still at level 7, and you're not gonna potentially reach the level 8.
Yeah, that's going to be really difficult when Absol is actually managing to grab levels. They're nearly level 7, so in the battle of the junglers, it's getting pretty tough. There's a Psycho cut, but they do manage to pick up the Absol with the Umbreon being there to provide the assistance. So that was an unfortunate agreement for Unity Country. Portugal coming out of that one quite positive.
Yeah, something you wanna keep in mind when you play jungle as well is just like the level 8 lead. Like the Mew is almost level 8, meaning that the bot lane was completely getting stomped. So Opsa just had to like play around the bot lane side carry. And again, like you mentioned, Buzzwell is a very strong character once you get level 5. So the top lane side also winning, just using the superpower and over again and just punishing them. And while that happens, Unity Country decides to play form and top lane side. Gigokami reads the play, but it's slightly too late.
Nice cleanup there by Unity Country. They're going to score plenty of points here. We still have the donut on the board for Portugal. That's not going to make much of a difference just yet, as we have 10 seconds away from these first objectives spawning. Level 8 across the board for the Absol and the Mew. It feels pretty stronger for Unity Country with their levels right now. Very close to the Unite move. And as I say, the Absol does just that. So this bottom objective is going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, like the Leafy managed to get level 8 because of the Absol shutdowns, but like you mentioned before, Absol being level 9, Zacian being level 7, it's gonna be very tough for them to play for the bottom objective. Because essentially, if Absol gets in range for any attacker or a squishy target like Speedstar, you can just one-shot them with the Psycho Card build and the X attack amplifier. And I'm thinking something that is interesting for me is that the Mew and the Trevenant were top lane side, right? Normally in a traditional game, you would see teams pivoting into form and bot lane one person top lane, but they managed to like figure out that you don't have to send everyone bot lane. because you are essentially having a level 9 power spike, which is very insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have such fantastic rip on this team. They take down that Lecky with no problems whatsoever. They horn leech that Buzzwole back into its own pad with the assistance of the Blissey there, but they're now going to be able to clean up our Portugal. Really nice pickup on that Trevenant's action. Does have to get on out of there, but the superpower isn't enough for the Buzzwole. Absol locking that one down with the Unite move, and that Lecky has gone in. They can break this pad, and they're feeling pretty strong out of that one, a Unity Country.
Yeah, like Absol is like a strange Pokemon because um, we don't really know where to put it in the tier list. We don't know how it is competitively. But if you play Absol and manage to get a great early game and control it, it looks very disgusting. It is very good into double speedster compositions. Amarush is squishy, Leafeon is squishy. But if you play against tanky compositions, you might struggle a little bit. It is bad into a lot of CC. And it just, the Mew is creating so much space as well. Like Mew being just one of the best Pokemons in the game. It has always been the best Pokemon. It's just great to see it work.
It's the fact that Unity Country are managing to keep Portugal on the back foot, and that seems to be where they like to keep them. It's working for them right now, but we're going to see them push on to this bottom objective. We've got 15 seconds before it spawns. Trevenant nearly getting caught out there with a superpower, though. They popped their Unite move, and I think they're probably going to go down, but they've done a lot to at least cause some distraction and allow the damage to go over to the side of Portugal. But a nice pickup with the armor cannon. Is it going to be enough? Because these Hooper portals, though, are just going to provide so much healing to Unity Country. It's going to be difficult for Portugal to do anything here if they can't get in and provide that assistance. There's a Rings Unbounded, of course, with that Unite move from the Absol. That's going to clean up that objective. Regirock over to the side of Unity Country, and they're just going to clean up the rest of Portugal here whilst they have the opportunity. Buzzwole does pop up their Unite move, though. The Surf from the Mew is enough to protect them, and they take down the Buzzwole in return.
Very great serve from the Mew, just deciding to play for the serve, trying to go for the defensive tool and executing the Buzzwole and surviving as well. I think something that I'm noticing from Portugal is there's like a little bit of miscommunication because I believe that Gekokami wanted to secure the objective with the Blizzy Unite move because he essentially just face checked the objective to hope that the Blizzy Unite move is being activated to secure the objective. However, again, like Unity Country has so much secure in the tool, and Leafeon died. Like Leafeon was in the base because she died before, so the Leafeon wasn't able to participate in the fight. However, while I'm saying that, Leafeon has Unite move, looking for a potential Unite move use to get a shot on XP.
And Unity Country are just going to defend this goal really easily for them. A nice triple KO coming in for Salute there. They're going to get a 40, no, in fact, they're going to get a 47 overcap on that bottom goal, Gatlu. What more could you want from this game without being in the final stretch?
Yeah, like 47 overcap, having a massive point lead now, having a big XP lead, and just like utilizing the option Unite move on cooldown, essentially being level 14 at 3 minutes, and potentially getting level 15. It's just gonna be very tough for Portugal to deal with because again, the level is just gonna keep going down. And if the Mew manages to like fall here, it would have been very nice for the comeback XP. I feel like this Trevenant is stalling so much time for the team itself.
Yeah, they really are. They're doing a fantastic job with it. They're spending so many resources of Portugal at the moment to try and take out that Trevenant, and it's just working in Unity Country's favor because it's just distracting them so much. We have 35 seconds away from the Rayquaza battle. It seems like Unity Country are coming out on top with these team battles at the moment. What do you think Portugal need to do to give themselves a better upper hand at Rayquaza here, Gatling?
So when you play Buzzwole, you are able to like do a massive like Smackdown eject button combo. So I could see him using a Smackdown eject button combo onto the enemy's backline or like the Absol and potentially just one-shotting them because again like they have a Hoopa, so Hoopa can't really heal them in time. But while I'm saying that, I'm seeing a Reggie Ice as well. Reggie Ice is very useful for compositions where you don't have a support because it essentially just heals you over time.
And we have an approach there. Zacian sees the Umbreon, but they do get out of that bush. And it seems like Portugal are just going to group on up in that top side. They do have some good vision at the moment, the Unity Country. They know where the majority of the team are. So they're going to poke on in with this Mew and just continue with the poke damage. Amaru is going to try and do the same in return, but Buzzwole back down to half health. They're going to have to utilize most of those eggs just to keep Buzzwole healthy for this next fight that's coming up.
Yeah, something that is very hard for Portugal to do right now, even if they score 100 points, they know they are losing. So something they want to do is try to catch someone, try to see if someone is inting. Also, was potentially getting caught off guard, but the pursuit is just managing to make him escape The Leafeon is trying to zone the Zacian from flanking the backline, but it's looking very tough right now because of the like we have level 40 Mew right now.
Yeah, very true. Level 15 on the Absol as well. And yet again, Unity Country know they don't need to get this objective. They just need to defend it. They're going to utilize these super portals and try and keep the vision of where Portugal are. They know where all of the team is. And of course, having Zacian prepared in that top lane, Absol in that bottom lane, they're prepared for any backcaps that may come. They may have been able to pick the Trevenant here. There comes the Rings Unbound. This is the engage. And this is where it's going to go. The Psycho Boom onto the Zacian. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do enough. They use the Sovereign Sword. The Zacian does go down, but they've managed to pick up free from the side of Portugal, Gatlu. Unity Country diving onto Zacian to provide the assistance, and they get the ace. Unity Country are going to take this game.
Yeah, Unity Country just strong, like showing a really strong showing as well. Trevenant not taking the portal back when it was needed, right? Like he didn't take the portal because he knows that people are camping on the portal. So just using the like utilizing the jump pad to come back from the game. And again, like Unity Country is better if they stall the game, right? Because they are winning essentially. And if it's the 1 minute mark, you only have one chance to team fight. And if you don't manage to win this team fight, it's just gonna be very tough. So something to shout out as well is that at the 2 minute mark, if you stall too much time, you essentially are gonna have only one team fight to win the game. But if you
Yeah.
fight in the beginning of the team fight, trying to force something instantly, you're gonna manage to have at least two fights. But again, it's just gonna be very hard because the levels are taking level 15 up, so level 14 Mew. I think that the Mew did 120k damage this game because this Mew was just using Solar Beam over Solar Beam.
Yeah, the poke coming in from you was fantastic. I think I'm with you, to be fair, buddy. I would not be surprised at 120k at all. I feel like really well done by Unity Country. They were aggressive constantly in these two games. They really showcased their capability on these different ones. I know that we mentioned that Akakami wasn't playing the role they typically play, so Portugal were having a bit of synergy issues in that sense, but they played really well to keep into this one. It just felt like Unity Country had an answer to everything that came their way.
Yeah, this time around, Gekokami was choosing the Umbreon. So I think it was fine. But what I'm noticing from Portugal was like miscommunication issues. Like
Mm.
they didn't really talk too much. Like Gekokami is jumping into the objective, not really securing it. It just was very tough. So while I said it, 125k on the new side, 15k on Upside. So very great showing by them. But shoutouts to Fast trying to make the team stay alive. Something that was very pivotal um, for the late game fight was catching out the Trevenant. But what I'm curious about, if we can go back to the draft, is if the if Portugal was playing any anti-heal items, because this Trevenant, like on its own, just doing 34k healing. So maybe an issue would have been that they don't have any anti-heal, because the Trevenant was just
Mm.
healing so much throughout the team fight.